everyone, and welcome back to the Colour Cave for another relaxing Tuesday video during our lockdown period. I have with me a cup of tea, standard procedure, and I also have these two little note cards, and these came from Teatime with Tarryn. Now I did do a separate video on some of the things that she had sent me. I'm going to leave a link to her Etsy store and to her website in the description if you want to check out some of her goods, because her stuff is absolutely beautiful. So I've been kind of playing with this for a little while, and I started this greetings card the other day in pencil. So I've got my Polychromos pencils here off to the side, and I'd like to do a little bit more than that, but I also thought we would mix things up a bit today. And this is the card that Tarryn actually sent me in with the package, and I would like to do a little bit in marker today just for a little change as well. So just off to the left hand side here I have my marker tower. For those of you that like that kind of thing, I'll put a little picture of it there because I know some of you quite like seeing that sort of thing. So we'll start off with this wee card here, and it is blank, so you can put a little message inside, and on the back there's a space for you to say that you coloured it yourself. So I'd started some of these flowers, so I've got a little bit to do. There is quite a lot going on in this. I'll zoom in a little bit so that you can see. It's a very, very detailed picture, and I think to try and use markers, I don't think I would do it justice necessarily, so I think we'll stick with the pencil, and it means we can get into all those little nooks and crannies. So I thought it might be fun as well while we were doing this to tell you the story of why there was no video the other day. And you know, it's unlike me, it's very, very unlike me not to have a scheduled video out. I'm quite sort of not strict with things like that, but in all the time that when we were moving and stuff, I never missed a video slot, so you know that must have been extreme circumstances for that to happen. Okay, I just took a second to figure out my colours there. So I've plumped with light magenta, mauve and purple violet. That seems to be relatively close to what I had before, so we're going to go with that and take it from there. I wonder if I can get zoomed in a little bit more for you, because this is quite a teeny tiny little picture. Yeah, so most of you will know that I have a tendency not to skip videos. It's not a thing I'm in the habit of, but we did have a rather extenuating circumstance these last few days. We have a new member of staff, and he will be moving into the cottage, like the workers' cottage that we have on the farm, and that is... It's kind of hard to explain, but basically it was built into what was the original farmsteading, so like the old farm building that surrounds the yard. And it's some time ago it was converted into a dwelling house. So there was needing a little bit of work done to it, and that has been undertaken. And one of the things that was getting done is that the heating system is being converted to gas. We don't have mains gas here, obviously we're a wee bit out the way for that kind of thing, but we do have tank gas, and it's much cheaper to run heating systems on that than it is to have these, it was like electric storage heaters, like overnight heaters that were in, and they're notoriously expensive to run. So that was one of the conversions that was being done. Now in order to achieve that, there had to be a gas line piped in from the gas tank to the cottage, which is, they're on opposite sides of the yard from each other. So we have, it's basically like a map of the yard, and it marks out all the different pipes and things that run underneath the surface of the ground. Now that's quite important obviously when you need to dig things up. So there is a mains water pipe that runs to our house and obviously to the cottage as well. And there's some gas pipes and also some electricity cables. So the idea was that Mr. Jem and company would dig out the trenches so that the relevant authorities could come and pipe everything in, because we have diggers and things and other machinery here at the farm. Now between them collectively, so that's three boys, three experienced boys, I hasten to add, not only did they hit the water main, but they managed to hit the electricity lines not once but twice. So we we had a few days there where we had some problems with not having any water and then not having any electricity, and the electricity board actually came out. We had to phone them because it was a live line and there was a chance obviously that someone might have an accident and get electrocuted, which is what we don't want. So we had to kind of hang about for that, but needless to say, that's why I've not been putting out a video, because I had no means to, you know, your laptop battery only runs for so long, and unfortunately when you're running editing software, it like uses a lot of your laptop's brain power, so it tends to sort of suck the juice out of your battery. So that is why there was no video. Now on top of that, the post's been really messed up here. I don't know what it's like where you live in your country, but here in Scotland the post has been seriously messed up, and I don't know whether it's because we are that little bit more out the way, but our post is several days behind, and we seem to only be getting post maybe every second day. Had an email from Scrawlerbox saying that they were late shipping out all the boxes. Now obviously I have a schedule and I tend to sort of roughly plan it out a month in advance. I don't always stick to that rigidly, but I do like to have an idea of what videos I'm putting in where, and it just lets me kind of plan and organise a wee bit better. And again, just now doing 3 videos a week, that's particularly important to try and fit everything in round all the other things that we've got to do. So to be honest, the whole subscription box situation's kind of messed me up this month as well, because they should have been here by now and they're not. So it's really a combination of factors. And just to sort of cap it all off, one of the ladies that I work with in my proper job has been off work, and I was actually worried about her because she just disappeared really quickly. And it's really unlike her, you know, if she's taken leave or whatever, she normally like mentions it in passing, and she didn't, and I thought she'd caught the coronavirus, but it turns out she had 2 bereavements of 2 close family members within a few days of each other, so she's taken some time off. So I'm kind of doing some of her work as well, so I've had to spend more time on that. And it's just a kind of like a combination of all these factors. But after the boys digging through the water main, there was lots of interesting expletives floating in through the open windows from the yard that night. After that, you know, once we'd got over that and they'd sorted it out, the fact that the power just went off randomly, and then someone dropped an F-bomb outside, which I'm pretty sure could be heard at least 10 miles away, if not more. You had to laugh, like you've got to laugh at these things. But that was just kind of like capped everything off. I'm like, oh, just, you know, these videos are just not meant to be. Maybe somebody in the stratosphere is trying to tell me something. So yeah, it's been an interesting couple of days, needless to say. But we're sorted now, and I just need to kind of get caught back up. So again, I would rather put out like fewer higher quality videos than, you know, just sort of churn out rubbish for the sake of having a video out, because that's not fair on you guys, and it doesn't do me any favours either. So there's nothing worse than having to do something because you have to rather than wanting to, and that is definitely not what being a YouTuber's all about. So, but you guys are so understanding and you're all really nice about it. I think you know by now, for most of you that have been here a while, you know that I'm reasonably reliable most of the time, and it wouldn't have been without, you know, a good reason. So the upshot is now I'm kind of hoping that the Upcrate and Scrawler box are going to land sometime this week, maybe, being optimistic, and I can just sort of switch the video situation round. But in terms of filming, I normally film at least 3 or 4 days in advance, so I would have you know, like the day a video goes live, I would have one already filmed and edited and ready to upload and be started on a third. That's usually kind of, you know, like the delay period, but I am literally filming this on Monday and you guys are going to see it on Tuesday, so I am really behind. But it's not drastically so. I'll be able to sort it out and just get caught up over the next few days, hopefully, and we can get things back into some sort of semblance of order, because I do like a bit of order. In other news, for those of you that haven't been onto the community tab, Little Woo, our geriatric Jack Russell, she has recovered wonderfully from having her gristly lump removed from her side. she has not touched her stitches at all. She had a little bit of a scratch at them, I think for like 2 days, and then she never bothered after that. But what she's been doing is, it's been really warm and sunny here, and she's been sunbathing, but she's been lying with her wound like pointing up to the sun, and I think that's kind of helped keep it dry. And it's not the prettiest of scars. They didn't do the best job of stitching her up, but it was in a really awkward position because it's right beside one of her teats. But she's knitted together reasonably well. So we are going to the vets tomorrow morning, a little trip to go and get her stitches out, and that is her. So she's survived to fight another day. But it just amazes me because it was obviously bothering her a lot more than we realised, because once she got over the initial sort of dopiness of the anaesthetic, she's got like almost like a new lease of life, and she's a lot more playful and, you know, bringing you the tennis ball, whereas before she wasn't really bothering too much about stuff like that. And I just assumed it's because she's getting older. But yeah, so there you go. So she's a happy little camper. So I'm glad that we've done it for her, and, you know, we've got it taken out. That's good. It's always good. I've noticed that there's quite a few of these little buds poking out here, and some of them look quite similar and some of them don't, but they kind of look like rosebuds to me. I want to get as much colour as possible in this picture, just because it's quite busy and I think it'll look good. So I think we'll maybe go with some reds, and I'll just pick out these buds. In other doggy news as well, Pip has pulled her claw. It's like her index finger claw on her left foot. I think she just got it caught on something, and she's pulled like the sheath off of it, and it's just like, it's down to the quick. It's very raw looking, and it's not too bad, but it's very difficult to try and get her to, one, leave it alone so that it can harden up, and also for her not to get any dirt in it, because obviously when a dog puts its paw down, it goes forward like this, and that's that part in there, which is the part that's raw. So we've kept her in for a few days. I'm not WALK-ing her. And that's just like, you can't really do that with a collie. So we've been taking her onto the grass. We've got like a big flat part of the garden that's a big lawn. I think at one point apparently it was a croquet lawn. I don't know if I believe that or not, but it's very square and flat. So we've been taking her out there just in little spurts to play with the tennis ball, to try and kind of like get the wind out of her a little bit and keep her occupied and stop her getting bored. So we're going to see how that goes and just try and keep it clean, because I don't really fancy another trip to the vets for something like that, because they're really cautious about which animals they're seeing and things just now for obvious reasons. So we're just trying to look after that. We do have antibiotic spray that we use for the cattle and sheep's feet, and it goes by the name of blue spray because it's blue. But we don't have any, so I'm going to pick some up from the vets, and if her foot starts to look a little bit angry, I can always pop some of that on. It does go everywhere though, and you have to cover it up, because if you don't, they just lick it off, and I don't think it's the best thing for them to be ingesting. So we'll get some of that on the go as well. Never-ending supply of resources on a farm. This red's actually popping out quite nicely. I'm quite liking it. I'll pop some of this in here. So the only dog that is hanging the right way at the moment is Jock. And he's a good boy. He's been a good boy. He's always a good, well, mostly always a good boy. I'm assuming that this one down here is something sort of sunflower-esque. So maybe we can pick out some orangey, yellowy colours for some petals, and then some brown for the centre. We'll try this. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. Like that. I have my set of polychromos here. I've had them for about 2.5 years, maybe closer to 3. And I'm finally coming to the end of my first pencil, so that's a stark difference between using Prismacolors. If any of you have Prismacolors, you'll know that they're very soft and they wear down very quickly. The Polychromos not so much. And I have a few pencils that are quite short, but I don't have any that were dire or desperate. But now I'll just show you, because it's quite sad, because it's the first one. This is my May Green, and obviously it's in a pencil extender, so if I just take this out here, this makes me a little bit sad. I always knew a green one would be the first one though, because I use greens most often. If anybody's interested, these are the Derwent pencil extenders. They come in packs of 2. There's a black one and a silver one in each packet, and the silver one's got a slightly larger diameter, so it takes chunkier pencils like Polychromos. They are on the pricey side, but they're very robust, and I've had these for years and I've never had any problems with them or had to replace them. The only thing that happens is the Derwent marking, you know, like the logo rubs off them eventually, but they're really, really good. I highly recommend them. And obviously it's given my little May Green pencil its last lease of life before it joins the rest of the dead pencils in the little jar that I keep them in. And I've got no idea why I keep them in a jar or why I keep them at all, but I don't know, maybe it's a sentimental thing. I would love to know what you guys do with your pencil stumps, if you keep them or whether you just throw them out. I've got a funny feeling that most of you will keep them, and like me, you probably don't know why. So I'm thinking this is a wee bit too orangey, so I'm going to go over this with some yellow, and I'm not going to do every single petal. Maybe do the ones in at the back, more orangey colour. So I've got here brown ochre. Again, this is one of my smaller pencils. It's one that I tend to use quite a lot. So I'm going to start off with that in the middle. And Tarryn's left some lovely texture here in the line work. So that's a really helpful indicator of where we would want to put our darker colours down. So I'm going to take a really dark brown. I'm going to take the walnut brown. And I'm going to build that up on this side first. And I'm going to take it over the brown ochre, but then I can build up some layers here. And just sort of blend it out towards this paler side. I might even take that a step further and just pop in a tiny bit of black at the bottom here. Yeah. Got this big flower here, and I'm not entirely sure, but it almost looks like a lily, like face on. And I'm thinking some delicate colours, so like a really pale, I might try and use cream or ivory. I think cream might be better, and have some really delicate pink ends on them, you know, like pink tips. I think that would look quite pretty. Again, I'm just going to consult my swatch book a little bit. I think I'll try with cream. And maybe some rose carmine over the top of the cream would look quite delicate. So I'll put a layer of cream down first. And then pop a little bit of that rose carmine down. And then go over the top of it and blend it. It's kind of gone a little bit yellowy. Let's try and build it up. Oh no, that looks quite nice actually. We quite like that. This one looks as if it's folding over, so I don't think there's going to be much on that. But we'll pop a little bit on. It looks very delicate, doesn't it? I've also managed to hobo rig my mic. There is something wrong with my mic, and to be fair, this was just a really cheap one that I bought like way back at the beginning. And I think it's just kind of come to the end of its tenure. It's reached the end of its shelf life. One of the things I was wanting to do, well, I was hoping, you can always hope for these things, but you can never really plan for them. I was kind of hoping I would have enough money together to buy, you know, something a bit more professional that's got a lot more noise reduction on it. This mic, because it's a cheap mic, picks up every noise, and I have to sit and do quite a lot of editing to the audio of the videos to kind of like edit out all the background noise. So there is a mic that I'm after in particular, and it's quite expensive, so I'm thinking that we might have to wait a little while, but I'm just hoping that this one holds out long enough, because I really don't want to buy another cheap one to then have to replace it again, you know, another year or so down the line. I would rather just get the decent one kind of thing. But we'll see how it goes. See, things are kind of interesting just now, and could be doing without purchasing anything really at this moment. This leaf looks kind of blue, as if it's had the end broken off of it as well. I think I'm still going to pop some pink in it though. Maybe just a weeny bit right at the top there. Yeah. Now I'm thinking a really bright, maybe fuchsia in the middle, or mid-purple pink might be cool. Let's try the middle purple pink. Yeah, why not? Make this fun. And this kind of goes out down the veins in the middle of each of the petals. And here we go, and I can build some of this up in the various sections now. Half of my thing with this type of colouring or artwork is that someone like Tarryn, who's very talented, has obviously picked specific flowers to put into this artwork, and I do not know what half of them are. I'm not really a green-fingered person. I am learning as I go along, because I like to paint and draw greenery. I am learning as I go along, but my flower knowledge in particular is not very good. And sometimes I look at things and I'm like, I should really know what colours these are supposed to be, but sometimes it's really good fun to just go with the flow and make it your own. And that's obviously kind of what I'm doing here. But I think that makes me kind of reluctant sometimes to colour things. And I keep asking Mama Jem what things are. She says, you keep asking me like I'm some kind of botanist, but every time I've asked her about a flower or a plant, she's been able to tell me what it is. So I think it's just that she doesn't have enough faith in her abilities. Okay, I'm going to pick out some Scarlet Red now, because this looks very poppy-esque to me. Yeah, let's go poppy, Scarlet Red. One of the things I've noticed about colouring flora like this is it doesn't matter whether you have a specific colour palette or not, but when you start to colour in the greenery, it all comes together. You know, it kind of just sort of solidifies it as one image. Whereas just now my colour palette's kind of all over the place, but that is absolutely a-okay. The nice thing about this as well, because the line work is quite detailed, it gives you some really nice guidelines to follow as well, so you can colour without having to think about it too much, and I find that really relaxing. I like that, and it's one of the reasons, and this is going to sound really counterintuitive, but it's one of the reasons I really like colouring in Kirby Rosanna's books. Although they are stupendously detailed and there's always loads going on in each of the pictures, he does use a lot of hatching and shading as well. So you can, although there's a lot to work through, you can really just take his sort of guiding hand and go with the flow, and I find that really cool. I like that a lot. That's one of the reasons I like Karolina Kubikowska's books as well, because she does the same kind of thing. She has a very unique drawing style, but it lends itself perfectly to colourists. Takes a lot of guesswork out of things sometimes. Okay, I think we'll stop there for now. That's brought that on quite a bit. What I'm going to do is I will finish this in my own time, and when it's finished I will stick it up on Instagram, so you can check out my Instagram handle, which is on the screen just now, and I'll also show, I always have it in the end card anyway, so you can pick up my handle there and go on over and see this in its finished form. But I think we'll switch to some markers now. So this was Tarryn's little note card that she sent me. And I love it because of the thick outline, because that really makes whatever's in the foreground pop out. So what we're going to do is we're going to use really bright colours here for the flower and for the stem in this leaf, and then we'll have a really pale background which will just set it off beautifully. Now what I want to do, just in case, is pop this sheet of card in behind here, because I have a feeling that this marker is going to soak through and I don't want it soaking onto the part where Tarryn's actually written to me. So we'll stick that there just to save us any hassle. And again, I do have all my Copics swatched out in my swatch book, and I have quite a few now. So it's just a helping hand in picking out certain colours, especially as some of the shades can be quite close together and sometimes they're a little bit too close. So I'm thinking really bright pinky purples, like fuchsia colours for this. So, and obviously we'll have some green down here because we like green. So I was thinking maybe like a pale lemony yellow. In fact, not dissimilar to the colours that we've used here in this big flower, this lily. Okay, for the background I have picked out these two very pale yellow colours, which is Y11 and Y000, otherwise known as U. And that's just going to let me have a little bit of colour, maybe like thinking almost as if there's an imaginary kind of semicircle here, and I'll blend it out with the really pale colour into practically nothing because it is very light. So I'm just going to start in here. And I absolutely love the way this marker goes down on this paper, it's just really nice. And because we have this lovely thick outline round the flower, you know, if you're going over the line slightly with your marker, it's not the end of the world. So I'm just going to start blending this out here. And really saturate the paper there. And that just gives you an easier blending line. And again, this isn't really hugely important because it's not a major part of the picture. It is a background, but we still like to get a reasonably nice soft line on the go. I think maybe to about here. In fact, no, do you know what? I'm going to take it out a bit further actually, because there is this sort of white space around here. There we go, that's starting to blend out quite nicely. Beautiful! There is something very satisfying about a bit of marker blending, I like it. Try and get down the side here. Maybe take that to around here. And then just blend this out down here. Lovely jubbly. I think I'll just take the lemon yellow up the top here. I don't want to take away from the simplicity and strikingness of the actual drawing itself, and it is very easy to do that. You know, you can get a bit carried away and ended up using 12 markers when you really don't need to. Again, I am a person that prefers more minimalist type drawings when it comes to viewing art, certainly, and other, you know, appreciating other people's art. I tend to like simple things like this. I find them I think they're more impactful. Although very detailed artwork is impressive and can be quite awe-inspiring, I find that things like this have more of an impact. And this really suits my taste in art quite well. Not necessarily my drawing taste, you know, my own artwork, but for others it certainly does. There we go. So that wasn't too much or too complicated, but you can see there's a good bit of colour, and you can see it in comparison to the flower. It's just a tiny tint, but it's enough to give the picture some interest without going like way overboard, way overboard. So now my favourite part, we get to pick out some greens. And I think again I want to stick with the kind of paler colours. I think that would lend itself. So I'm going to go YG11, which is, again, it's actually one of my favourite markers, and it is Mignonette. I have no idea if I've pronounced that correctly. And bring it into a slightly darker shade, and I'll go G43, which is Pistachio. So I'm going to start with my paler colour here. Just wang it down. I don't know whether it's interesting or not that it doesn't matter what medium I'm using, I do tend to put like a layer of base colour down first, and I do that with pencil. I don't necessarily do it quite as much with watercolour. I do still do it, but not for every single aspect of a picture the way I do with, say, markers or pencil. But I just find it a really handy way to kind of get right in my mind what things are supposed to look like. This looks very fluorescent on the camera. It's really not. It must be the white balance. So I'm just going to follow Tarryn's hatch in here. And this is the pistachio. So I'm just kind of using that as a guide for some shading. We'll bring that down there like that. And then again, just blend it out with the mignonette. There we go. I might even take one shade darker than that as well. I might go mistletoe. Now I'm going to wait for that to dry because I want to use this as kind of like a shadow, so I want to make sure that's absolutely dry. But I'll carry on down here just now. So layer some of this up here. Maybe have a little bit lighter, maybe there's a light source coming from over here somewhere. And then back with my pistachio. I just want to get some texture in, so again I'm just following Tarryn's lines here that she's conveniently provided for me. And then using this mistletoe, just going to put a tiny bit under there and maybe a tiny bit up here too. I don't know if that camera picked that up, but the lid of that marker just flew out my hand and flew across the table. I really don't have much control over stuff like that. It's a miracle that I can actually draw anything sometimes, do you know that? It makes me laugh. It's funny, I say that about our dogs all the time. If you watch the collies, and our old dog Mist was perfect for it, but she didn't seem to be able to coordinate all her legs together if she was moving slowly. If she was running really fast, she was fine, but if you ever watched her climb up onto the sofa, it's as if she didn't know what to do, like she couldn't get her four legs to go together, and she used to like trip upstairs and stuff all the time, and I was like, it's a wonder that you know how to herd sheep. That's the kind of the way I feel about my hands in drawing. Oh jeez. Okay, so I'm going to pick out these fuchsia colours. This is going to be really fun. Okay, so I'm going to start with these two colours, and that is RV29 and RV14, Crimson and Begonia Pink. Here we go. And I think what we'll do, I might even go a shade lighter than that as well. Let me see. I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. I know this might be annoying to some people, but I figured that you guys quite like to hear my thought process as I go along. I always call it a brain fart. Okay, I've already changed my mind. I'm going to replace the Begonia Pink with Cerise. It's like proper Barbie pink. But I am going to pick a paler pink than that as well. Okay, so this is a very candy coloured pink. But I'm just going to go for it. So we'll get some of this down here. Again, I find it better to start off with the lighter colours because you can always darken them down. Whereas if you start maybe a shade too dark, there is that chance that you may regret your decision. And I know straight away that this is too pale, you know, this is going to be really bold. But it's just in case I want any highlights anywhere, then they will, you know, rather than leaving the white of the paper the way I would do with pencil, I can have this sort of delicate pink showing through, which I quite like. It's a style that I prefer with markers, whereas I am very comfortable and always welcome the white of the paper when I'm using pencil because I enjoy the texture of pencil. And that's just a choice, a style choice for me personally. And I know a lot of people like to cover up all the white of the paper, and that's absolutely fine. That's just preference. Right, so we'll have a little think about these here and decide what's going on. So I think the light source might be, it's kind of, I've kind of contradicted myself here because the shading is on the left side of the stem, but it's on the right side of the leaf, and I've just gone purely by Tarryn's line work here. So I could kind of go either way, but I'm thinking maybe the light sources, I'm not sure. Maybe there's multiple light sources. We could just make that excuse me. Anyway, we'll try a leaf in the middle. Oh my goodness, this is like fluorescent. Good grief, I could have used a highlighter for this. Right, so I'm just going to go a petal at a time. We may be here for some time. And I'm just going to blend this out here. And as you can see, it's blending quite well on this paper, which is what we want. And then if I take my darkest colour, ooh, pretty. And we'll just blend all this out together now. So you want to use your lightest marker to blend. You know, kind of the way that some people would use a white coloured pencil to burnish, if you're a pencil type person. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. We've got a bit of a harsh edge here though. So you can blend that out a bit. Go on you go, be gone. That is an outrageous shade of pink. It really is. Goodness me. I had a friend at school that used to have hair that colour. It made me laugh when I posted the picture on the community tab of the Doodle lab coat. There's quite a few of you that commented on my hair in that picture, and I think that's hilarious because it's probably the most unkempt my hair has ever been in its life, and it's also a length that I absolutely hate. I call it the in-betweeny stage because it wasn't really long enough to tuck behind my ears, but it was way too short to put in a ponytail, and my hair is so thick and so wavy that that's just not an option for me. It just gets in the way, and I just thought it was really funny that you all liked it. I can't stand my hair, and that was literally like the in-between stage because I did have a faux hawk before that. So a faux hawk is a fake mohawk, and basically both the sides of my head were, you know, round my ears were cut quite short, but they weren't shaved, and then I had this stripe in the middle that was longer, and I could wear it as a mohawk, you know, you just style it up the way, but I could also part it at the side and wear it over to the side, and it was quite a soft haircut. But in order to maintain that, I had to have it cut like every 3 weeks. And obviously being in hospital, that wasn't something that had been happening, so that was just like a really unkempt hairdo. Strangely, Mr. Jem also likes my hair that length as well, because when he first met me, well, it was a little bit longer than that, but not much, and he's always on at me asking me when I'm going to cut my hair short again. And I'm like, I'm not. But thank you for the compliments all the same, even though I don't like it. I appreciate it, but in that photograph in particular, again, if you've seen me a few times, you know, if you've watched more than a couple of videos, you'll know that my hair is really, really wavy. So that had been straightened within an inch of its life. I'm pretty sure that's not good for your hair. I used to tong it quite a lot as well when it was that length, you know, just because my hair's wavy, it curls quite easily, you know, I don't have to put a lot of effort into it to get it to curl. And I used to do that quite a lot, but I'm convinced it just knocked the stuffing out my hair more times than not. Okay, that's looking quite cute. I kind of want a darker edge down here because this is like folded over, but I don't really want to ruin what's going on here because I've got quite a good thing going on here. Maybe like that? Anyway, you can leave me a comment below if you want to see the faux hawk in full effect, let me know, and I will try and dig out a picture. I was thinking about pictures again the other day because I had talked, I think it was last Tuesday, and I'd talked about Moss, which was our old dog before Jock, and I haven't managed to dig out any pictures of him yet either. When we moved and we kind of put pictures onto like an external hard drive, and there was 2 of them, and I found one hard drive but I haven't found the other one. Now, we haven't unpacked some of our boxes because we're having a lot of renovation work done in the house. The like less important stuff hasn't been unpacked, and I've got a feeling that the other external hard drive might be in one of those boxes. And because we've got Mama and Papa Jem staying just now as well, they're in one of the other bedrooms where there's a load of boxes, so we'll maybe get them another time. But I'll try and find a picture of Moss as well for you, because I know you all like your doggy pictures. But yeah, I enjoyed my faux hawk, I am not going to lie, I loved it. It was the best hairdo ever, because if you weren't feeling the love, you could just brush it down and put a little bit of wax through it, and it sat really well. And if you were feeling really funky, you could spike it all up. It was cool, it was very cool. When I wore it flat, you know, like off to the side, I used to call it the grandmother haircut, because it's the kind of thing you would do with your hair before you went to visit your grandparents. It was good though, I enjoyed it. Right, I think I want to make this one really dark down here, so I'm just going to go full on highlighter pink, and then I'm going to put quite a lot of the crimson over the top of it. Ooh. Let's do it. Ooh. Maybe to like there. So Mama Jem stitched up my favourite shirt for me. I talked about this a little bit at Christmas as well. I have put on a lot of weight in the last few months because I'm not doing so much physical work now, and I'm still eating like I am. And a lot of my clothes don't fit me just now, but they're tight. But I have this shirt, and it's a checked shirt. You'll have seen me wearing it, but it's quite loose fitting. But I really like it. Like, I'm quite attached to it. And Pip had pulled the cuff. While I was wearing it, I was playing with her. She pulled the cuff and tore it at the seam at the shoulder. So I was quite distraught about that. But it is now one of the only shirts that fit me well, and it's not wearable. So Mama Jem has kindly stitched it back up for me and repaired it. And one thing that I am terrible at is sewing. Like, I am really bad at sewing. I cannot express to you. I don't know whether I've told this story before, but to give you an idea of my sewing prowess, there was an occasion where I had a pair of dress trousers, and that was when I obviously worked in a public facing job, you know, a customer facing role, and I'd bought these trousers and they were way too long. I am quite short and I am only a 28 inside leg, and a standard ladies leg in the UK for some reason was 32 inches. I think they've brought it down to 30 now, but these trousers were really, really long. So I decided I would take the hem up myself. I was like, that can't be that difficult, you know, it's just like fold up a bit of material and put a stitch in it. And I painstakingly, under my mother's supervision, spent an age doing these hems and making sure they were really neat. And she came through to see how I was getting on. I have no idea why I was at her house at that point, actually. And she said to me, she says, how are you getting on hemming your trousers? So I went to hold them up to show her what I'd done and went, look. And when I lifted up the trousers, hi woo, when I lifted up the trousers, my knee jerked up as well. And that was the point that I realised that I'd stitched the trousers to the jeans that I was wearing. You know, it was like a marionette puppet. It was the funniest thing, but at the same time, I've never been so cheesed off in my entire life. And my mum, well, I thought she was going to die laughing that day. And it was heartbreaking because I'd spent so long and been so careful. And that was the end of my sewing career. It's like, I can't even hem my trousers without stitching them to myself. I'm just going to stop trying to do this like quite a while here ahead. So there you go. That is one of the reasons I do not sew. Mr. Jem sews on his own loose buttons because he can do it quicker and better than me, and he knows at least if he does it, then they're going to stay on. Oh geez, it's pretty bad. It's puzzling though, because I am pretty handy, you know. I don't understand why the sewing thing's such an issue for me, but it just is. Because everyone's like, oh, you're really arty farty, like why can you not sew? I'm like, just not that talented, I'm afraid. My mum loves to tell that story as well to anyone. I want to try and keep this quite dark in here as well, without it looking like it doesn't belong to the same flower. this out. I think we'll just keep this one quite pale up here. Oh, I missed a little spot in there too. And I'll have that quite dark in there. I don't know if the mic will pick that up, but that was like a massive sigh from Pip, as if like she's got the weight of the world on her shoulders. She is quite bored, to be fair, because she's not getting outside. I think she may be a little bit fed up. But I need her toe to repair. That would be really helpful. The concern as well is that when she goes outside, obviously we have animals, and all it takes is for her to stand in some cow poop and for a little bit of it to get, you know, up inside under her claw, and then you've got an infection in your hands. So she'll just have to sit it out for a day or two and like it. I'm having really good fun with this today. I know when I'm having fun because my tea starts to go cold. Oh yeah, it's pretty cold. Cold tea, my favourite. Well worth it though, well worth it. There we go. Look at that, that's just turned out exactly the way I had it in my mind. And it's such a quick and easy project, which is perfect for a relaxing Tuesday video like this. I'm just making sure I'm putting the right caps back on the right markers here. There we go. And a little zoom out a bit now. Ooh! Very pretty. So let's see, as suspected, there is a considerable amount of bleed, so I'm really glad that I put that cardboard in there. But I think you'll agree that that just finishes that off nicely. And the colours really suit this bold outline as well, I think. I'm really pleased with that. So anyway, if we go back here, as I said before, what I'll do is I'm going to finish this off. It's going to take me a wee while to finish it, you know, that's not going to be a 2-minute job, as it were. So once I have finished it, I will post them both up on Instagram for you to see the finished results of my literally cold tea time with Tarryn. So I hope you're all staying safe, and I just want to thank you very much for the support and taking the time to come and hang out with me. And we'll see you back on Thursday, perhaps with a scroller box, I'm not entirely sure. Whatever the outcome, there will be a video on Thursday, as long as nobody digs through any more cables. Thanks very much guys, see you later.